You're sitting across from a woman at an overpriced restaurant listening to her complain about her ex-husband for the third time this week, and suddenly it hits you. You've built an entire life that works perfectly without this chaos. Welcome to Brutal Relationship, where we cut through the feel-good nonsense and tell you the uncomfortable truths about modern dating that nobody else will. Let me be completely honest with you. The game changes when you hit 40, and it changes even more dramatically after 60. I'm not talking about some red pill fantasy or bitter divorced guy ranting. I'm talking about cold hard reality that most men discover too late. Because here's what nobody tells you. The relationship equation fundamentally shifts as you age, and not in the way society pretends it does. Think about this for a second. You've spent decades building a life. You've figured out how you like your morning coffee. You know which side of the bed you sleep on. You've created routines that actually work. Your apartment or house is organized exactly how you want it. And then someone suggests you should disrupt all of that. For what? Exactly. Let me show you how this actually works in the real world. Reason number 1, the financial reality nobody discusses. Here's the thing most dating coaches won't tell you. When you're in your 40s, 50s or 60s, you're not dating women with nothing to lose. You're dating women with credit card debt, alimony payments, adult children who need money, and medical bills stacking up. And somehow your financial stability becomes community property before you even make it official. I watched my buddy Mark go through this exact scenario at 52. Successful contractor, owned his home outright, had a solid retirement account, met a woman who seemed perfect. 6 months in, she's asking him to co-sign a car lease. 8 months in, her daughter needs help with rent. A year in, she's suggesting they sell his house and buy something together that's more suited to both of them. Translation, leverage his equity to upgrade her lifestyle. Let that sink in. You've spent 20, 30 or 40 years building wealth. You've made sacrifices. You've worked overtime. You've saved when your friends were buying jet skis. And now you're supposed to share that with someone who brings what exactly? Companionship. You can get that from a dog, and the dog won't drain your 401k. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not just about protecting what you have. It's about understanding the mathematics of modern relationships at this age. Women in your age bracket are statistically more likely to have financial problems. Divorce left many of them with debt. Some never learned proper money management. Others made bad decisions that compounded over decades. And while that's not their fault entirely, it absolutely becomes your problem the moment you get serious. So what do? You recognize that financial independence isn't selfish, it's survival. Every dollar you've earned represents hours of your life you can never get back. Protection of those assets isn't cold, it's rational. Reason number 2, the hidden burden of emotional baggage. Most people miss this completely. When you're dating in your 20s or 30s, everyone's got a relatively clean slate, maybe a bad breakup or two, some trust issues, nothing catastrophic. But when you're dating after 40, you're not getting a person. You're getting an entire archaeological dig of unresolved trauma. Picture this scenario. You meet someone at 45, seems great on the surface, attractive, funny, intelligent. 3rd date, she mentions her ex-husband. 5th date, she's still talking about her ex-husband. 2 months in, you realize every disagreement you have gets filtered through 15 years of her previous marriage. You can't even suggest a restaurant without triggering some memory of how he used to do that. Here's what they don't tell you about dating after 40. Everyone at this age has been hurt. Everyone has been disappointed. Everyone has built defensive walls, and you're not just dating them, you're dating their entire emotional history. Their mistrust, their cynicism, their triggers, their unhealed wounds. And after 60? Multiply all of that by 10. Because now you're dealing with someone who might have decades of accumulated resentment, not just from relationships, but from life itself. Dreams that didn't materialize, bodies that betrayed them, children who disappointed them, careers that plateaued. And somehow, you're supposed to be the person who fixes all of that. Think about this carefully. You've likely done your own emotional work. You've processed your failures. You've made peace with your past. Why would you voluntarily sign up to become someone else's therapist, especially when they're not even paying you? But here's where it gets really interesting. The emotional labor of these relationships is exhausting. You can't just have a bad day, you have to manage your bad day while simultaneously managing her anxiety about whether your bad day means the relationship is failing, which triggers her abandonment issues from her last relationship, which makes her behave in ways that actually make you want to leave. See how that works? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy on steroids. Reason number 3, the freedom you've already won. Let me show you something most men don't realize until it's too late. The freedom you have right now is not the default state. It's the prize you earned by surviving everything that came before. You wake up on Saturday morning. No arguments about where to go for breakfast. No negotiating about whose family to visit. No discussions about whether the thermostat should be at 68 or 72 degrees. You want to watch football all day? You watch football all day. You want to take a spontaneous trip to see a friend in another state? You book the flight. You want to eat cereal for dinner? Nobody's there to judge you. This isn't loneliness. This is sovereignty. Here's what most people miss. Society has conditioned us to believe that being alone equals being incomplete, that a man without a partner is somehow failing at life. But that's programming from an era when people died at 60 and needed someone to take care of them in their final years. You're potentially looking at 30 or 40 more years of life. Why would you spend them in voluntary restriction? I know a guy named Robert, 58 years old, retired pilot. Dates occasionally but refuses to get into a relationship. His friends think he's scared of commitment. His ex-wife thinks he's selfish. But here's what Robert told me over bourbon one night. I spent 23 years compromising. What movie to watch, where to live, how to raise the kids, what car to buy. Every single decision was a negotiation. Now, I answer to nobody but myself, and I've never been happier. Let that sink in for a moment. The freedom to make unilateral decisions about your own life isn't something to give up lightly. It's not something you trade for companionship that might evaporate in 2 years anyway. So what do? You recognize that autonomy has actual value. It's not just the absence of something, it's the presence of complete self-determination. And once you have that, the cost of admission to give it up becomes extraordinarily high. Reason number 4, the mortality calculation. Here's the thing nobody wants to talk about at dinner parties. After 60 especially, every relationship is a mortality calculation, and it's not romantic, it's mathematical. Think about this scenario. You're 62. You meet someone who's 58. She's great, you hit it off. But here's what you're really looking at. Statistical probability says you have maybe 20 good years left. Maybe 15, where you're both mobile and healthy. And you're going to spend those years, what? Learning to navigate another person's quirks, compromising on where to retire, dealing with her adult children's drama. But here's where it gets really dark, and this is the part people hate. One of you is going to decline first. One of you is going to get sick. One of you is going to need care. And if you're the healthy one, congratulations. You just signed up for unpaid nursing duty in your 70s. If you're the sick one, you just burdened someone else with the obligation to take care of you, while they resent missing out on their final healthy years. I watched this happen to my uncle. Met a woman at 64, married her at 66. She developed dementia at 71. He spent the next 8 years of his life as a full-time caregiver, watching someone he loved disappear piece by piece, while he missed the opportunity to travel, to enjoy his retirement, to do anything other than manage medications and doctor's appointments. Was it noble? Sure. Was it the best use of his final healthy years? That's the question he can't answer anymore. Here's what they don't tell you. The romantic notion of growing old together only works if you both decline at the same rate and in complementary ways. In reality, one person becomes the caretaker while the other becomes the burden. And if you're starting a relationship after 60, you're drastically increasing the odds you'll spend your final chapter in that dynamic. So what do? You make decisions with clear eyes. Romance is beautiful, but reality is ruthless. Every relationship at this age is a bet on competing mortality curves, and the house usually wins. Reason number 5, the social pressure trap. Let me show you how this manipulation actually works. Your friends are paired up. Your sister keeps asking when you're going to settle down. Your kids want you to be happy, which is code for get a girlfriend so we don't feel guilty about not visiting you. And slowly, insidiously, you start to internalize the message that there's something wrong with being single. But here's the thing. All of that pressure isn't about your well-being, it's about their comfort. Coupled people are uncomfortable around happy single people because it raises questions about their own choices. Your happiness without a partner threatens their narrative that relationships are necessary for fulfillment. Think about this carefully. When someone says, "Don't you want someone to share your life with?" what they're really saying is, "I need you to validate my choices by making the same ones." When they say, "Don't you get lonely?" they're projecting their fear of being alone onto you. I know this because I've lived it. At 47, after my divorce, I was genuinely content. My business was thriving. My kids were doing well. I had hobbies, friends, purpose. But every family gathering became an interrogation. Every friend's wife had someone they wanted to set me up with. The pressure was relentless, not because I was unhappy, but because my happiness challenged their assumptions. Here's what most people miss entirely. The social pressure to couple up after 40 isn't about love or companionship. It's about conformity. It's about maintaining the social order where everyone plays their assigned role. Single men, especially successful ones, disrupt that order. But here's where it gets interesting. Once you recognize the manipulation, it loses its power. You start seeing through the concerned questions and helpful suggestions. You realize that the person trying to set you up isn't doing you a favor. They're trying to alleviate their own discomfort with your independence. So what do? You develop immunity to social pressure. You recognize that living your life for someone else's comfort is the real tragedy, not being single at 50 or 65. Reason number 6, the biological reality of aging. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. After 40, and especially after 60, the physical aspects of romantic relationships become complicated. And I'm not just talking about what happens in the bedroom, though. That's part of it. Your body changes. Her body changes. The things that were easy at 30 are difficult at 50. The attraction that felt effortless becomes something you have to work at maintaining. And suddenly you're dealing with medications, declining hormones, physical limitations, and the awkward conversation about whether the relationship can survive without the physical intimacy it was partly built on. Think about this scenario. You're 56. You meet someone. The chemistry is there, but so is the reality that neither of you looks like you did 20 years ago. You're both dealing with the effects of aging, and now every intimate moment is coloured by insecurity, performance anxiety, and the medical realities of bodies that don't work the way they used to. Let that sink in for a second. But here's where it gets really uncomfortable. When you're in a long-term relationship and you age together, those changes happen gradually. You adjust together, you find new ways to maintain intimacy. But when you're starting fresh after 40 or 60, you're asking someone to immediately accept and be attracted to your aging body while you're supposed to do the same for theirs. There's no grace period. There's no history of attraction to cushion the reality. And the health issues, they multiply everything. You're not just managing your own doctor's appointments, prescriptions, and physical limitations. You're now responsible for caring about someone else's. Her knee problems become your vacation planning problems. Your back issues become her frustration when you can't do things you used to do. Here's what most people miss. Sexual and physical compatibility at young ages is challenging enough. After 40, you're adding layers of complexity that many relationships simply can't survive. And the older you get, the more pronounced these challenges become. So what do? You recognize that biology is not on your side when starting new romantic relationships later in life. The physical foundation that relationships often need becomes increasingly unstable. Reason 7. The opportunity cost of your remaining time. Here's the thing that finally makes everything clear. At 40, you probably have 40 years left. At 60, maybe 20 or 25 if you're lucky. Every single year you spend in a mediocre or complicated relationship is a year you're not spending on something that could actually fulfill you. Let me paint you a picture. You're 63, you get into a relationship. It's fine, not great, but fine. You spend 3 years navigating her family drama, compromising on how you spend your weekends, adjusting your routines to accommodate another person. At 66, you realize it's not working. You end it. Those 3 years, gone forever. You can't get them back. And now you're 66 with less time ahead of you than you had before. The mathematics are brutal. Every relationship at this age is a high-stakes bet with your most precious non-renewable resource, time. And unlike when you were 25 and had unlimited chances to get it right, every mistake now costs you a larger percentage of what you have left. Here's what they don't tell you. The opportunity cost isn't just about bad relationships. It's about what you're not doing while you're in any relationship. The books you're not writing, the places you're not traveling, the skills you're not learning, the peace you're not experiencing, the grandchildren you're not focused on, the legacy you're not building. Think about this carefully. What could you accomplish with 10 years of completely focused energy? What could you create? Where could you go? Who could you help? Now compare that to 10 years of managing another person's needs, expectations, and emotional weather patterns. I'm not saying relationships have no value. I'm saying the value proposition changes dramatically as you age. The cost-benefit analysis that made sense at 30 doesn't make sense at 50 or 65. Your priorities shift. Your tolerance for drama plummets. Your clarity about what actually matters becomes sharp. So what do? You treat your remaining time as the precious resource it is. You become ruthlessly protective of how you spend it. You recognize that saying yes to a relationship means saying no to countless other possibilities. Look, I'm not telling you to die alone with 47 cats. I'm not saying all women after 40 are financial predators or emotional nightmares. What I'm saying is this: make decisions with your eyes wide open. The cultural script says you need a partner to be complete. The cultural script says growing old alone is sad. The cultural script says there's something wrong with you if you're content by yourself. But what if the script is wrong? What if the life you've built, the freedom you've earned, the peace you've found is exactly what you're supposed to have right now? What if adding another person wouldn't enhance your life but complicate it? You get one shot at this, one life, one finite amount of time, and every day you spend living according to someone else's expectations is a day you're not living according to your own. The brutal truth? For many men after 40, and especially after 60, the best relationship is the one with yourself, not because you're broken or scared or incapable of love, but because you've finally figured out what actually matters. And sometimes what matters most is protecting the life you've already built from the chaos someone else might bring into it. That's the truth they won't tell you, but we will.